When you're talking about elite performance, it all boils down to a loop: acquire, route, execute, and synchronize. We call it A.R.E.S. In this explainer, we're going to zero in on what might be the single most important and most misunderstood part of that loop: the route.
I mean, just think about it for a second. In the heat of a chaotic game, your eyes are just vacuuming up millions of bits of data. You've got the crowd, the lights, your teammates, your opponents. It's a total flood of information. But to actually do something, you can only act on one thing at a time. So how on earth does your brain pick out that one single critical signal from all of that noise?
Well, that's where routing comes in. And this isn't some passive thing happening in the background. It's your brain's active, high-speed traffic control system. Its entire job is to snatch the right inputs out of the air, ruthlessly cut out the distracting noise, and then blast a clean, ready-to-go signal straight to your muscles. Honestly, this is the difference between a lightning-fast play and a moment of hesitation that costs you everything.
To really get how we can improve this, we've got to follow the signal. So let's do that. Let's trace its journey, millisecond by millisecond, from the instant light hits your eye to the moment a decision is ready to be launched.
So, the journey starts off pretty straightforward. Light hits your retina, which immediately starts breaking it down into raw features. Things like color and contrast. Then the optic nerve, which is basically a high-speed data cable, zips that information to a part of the thalamus called the LGN. You can think of the LGN as a relay station or a switchboard operator. From there, it slams into your primary visual cortex, or V1, and this is where your brain starts to make basic sense of things, like finding the edges and lines in what you're seeing. But this is really just the warm-up act.
Now here's where things get really cool. Your brain is unbelievably efficient. It immediately splits that signal into two separate parallel processing streams. You've got the ventral stream, which is busy figuring out what you're looking at. Is that a friendly teammate or an opponent? At the exact same time, you've got the dorsal stream figuring out where it is and how to interact with it, its speed, its location, its trajectory. Both streams working at once.
So you have all this information flying around, being processed at incredible speeds. But here's the absolute key. The real bottleneck, the thing that's limiting your performance, it's not how fast your eyes work, it's the quality of your attention. Attention is the master controller of this entire routing process.
The best way to think about attention is to picture it as the router for your brain. You have these specific networks, like the frontoparietal network, and their job is to decide where to send the processing power. Then you have structures like the thalamus and the basal ganglia that act like bouncers at a club or gates. They are actively deciding which signals get a VIP pass and are amplified and which ones get thrown out and suppressed. Under pressure, a well-trained system sends a clean, powerful signal. A poor system, it just gets flooded with noise, and that causes disastrous delays.
And this brings us to a really powerful idea. When an athlete chokes, we tend to see it as a mental weakness or a lack of character. But if you look at it biologically, it's not that at all. It's a routing failure, pure and simple. The system failed to suppress the noise and failed to deliver a clean signal. The information was there, but it got totally lost in transit.
So let's take this a step further. What separates the great from the truly elite? It's not just that they're routing the information they see in real time a little bit faster. No, they are way ahead of the game. They're basically running a predictive simulation of the future inside their own head.
So here's how this predictive routing actually works. Based on the situation, your brain is constantly generating a stream of predictions about what's likely to happen next. As the real visual data comes pouring in, it's compared against that prediction. Now, any difference between the prediction and reality creates what's called a prediction error, and the brain uses this error to instantly update its model of the world. The result? You crush uncertainty way faster than someone who's just reacting to what they see, and that allows you to commit to an action much, much earlier.
Okay, so our signal has survived the whole journey. It's been picked, it's been filtered, it's been amplified. The brain has officially decided this is the one. But right now, it's still just information. It's not an action yet. The final, critical stage of the route is the handoff to the motor systems.
And this handoff is just this breathtakingly fast cascade of events. First, the parietal areas fuse that visual data with your own sense of where your body is in space. Then, the premotor cortex sketches out a few potential movement plans. The basal ganglia, acting like the ultimate decision maker, selects the single best plan out of the options. And finally, the motor cortex gets the green light to send the go command to your muscles. And get this, all of this happens within the root stage, before a single muscle is even twitched. So we've seen how insanely complex and vital this whole routing process is, and we've seen how it can break down under pressure. This, of course, leads to the big question. Can you actually get better at this? Well, the path to improving anything always starts with the same fundamental rule. You can't improve what you don't measure.
So, to measure how efficient your routing is, you need a way to put a number on it. This is where modern performance tools come in. They can generate a score by looking at a bunch of key indicators. They'll test things like how well you can control your attention when you're under load, how quickly you can ignore things that don't matter, and how fast you recognize important patterns. By putting all these metrics together, you get a really clear picture of how well your neural pathways are working.
And of course, once you can measure it, you can train it. By identifying your specific bottlenecks, maybe it's your distractor suppression, maybe it's your pattern recognition, you can use targeted training to strengthen them. This isn't some abstract concept. We're talking about real, measurable improvements to your routing efficiency. It's a biological change in your brain's processing speed.
So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. High performance isn't just about physical gifts. It's about neural efficiency. Every single millisecond counts, and those milliseconds are won or lost right here, inside the routing pathways of your brain. So the only question left to ask is, where are you losing yours?
The first step to optimizing your own performance is to actually understand your baseline. Getting an evaluation can help you identify your unique bottlenecks and, more importantly, show you how to start turning those lost milliseconds into a real competitive advantage.